Hello, I'm out here in Davis, in North Davis, and it's my first time out here for quite a while. It's my mom's birthday, so I'm out here visiting her, and we walked along the ditch this morning out by one of the monoculture fields of tomatoes, and the whole floor of this pathway is covered in this really beautiful thick carpet of chamomile. This is wild chamomile. And medicinally it's similar, has the same properties, very similar properties to the chamomile that is generally cultivated. It looks a little bit different though. It doesn't have the white petals, though it will have the yellow and green discs that are the seed pods. They will mature and become seeds that will continue to propagate this area. They're very soft and they're very joyful to work with. Their medicine is a super joyful medicine. They do so many things in the body. But a couple of my favorite actions are their volatile oils and their bitter compounds, which combine for an amazing digestive tonic. They are known as a carminative, which means that they're packed with oils that are really soothing to the walls of the digestive tract, both to the stomach and the smooth muscles of the small intestine, large intestine. They help tension be softened with their oils, and with the bitter properties, they increase the amount of digestive juices in the whole digestive tract, to really bring about improved digestion. But that's kind of a side note to what I love to think about when I think of chamomile. I think of it as just a really joyful and nourishing plant that is for when people, or when I feel like I'm just a big baby that really needs that comforting, loving, soothing touch. I turn to chamomile when I'm ready for bed and I have a lot of either nervous tension or a lot of just thoughts that won't calm down, or I just want to feel really held. And I'll drink my either chamomile tea or my tincture, or have one of my favorite preparations, an oxymel. Yeah, it's a big baby medicine. It's so beautiful. I'll make an oxymel where I take the dried flowers and infuse them in a mixture of half apple cider vinegar, half honey, with a little bit of salt, and I'll infuse that for a couple weeks and shake it every day, and it just infuses so beautifully. It's such a precious nightcap, and it's really soothing to any of the tension in my body. It's really soothing to the thoughts, the windiness in my mind, and just really helps me be held as I tuck into bed. So yeah, it's medicinally, folks use it for soothing the digestive tract for when people have ulcers or a lot of tension. It's really a cooling plant. It's cooling and moisturizing. When it's prepared as a cold infusion, which is where you take the dried blossoms and you infuse them in cool water overnight, it becomes the liquid, the water, the tea, becomes very mucilaginous, or it's a demulcent. It's really soothing for the tissue stage. It's much like mallow and plantain, comfrey. These are plants that are really just soothing for the body. But I find that when it's cold infused, it's really bright and it's really energizing. So this is a drink that I like to have in the morning as just a brilliant and lively, sun-filled way to wake up. And it's really amazing how when it's prepared with hot water, it's completely opposite. It's a sedative, and it will just put me right to sleep in a really soothing way. I find that the hot water infusion, if it's infused for just a couple minutes, it still is really sweet. It's not as bitter. But if the longer it's infused, it becomes a really bitter tonic, which is, as we were talking about earlier, is great for digestion and is really soothing in that way. Yeah, it's very cooling so it's really beneficial for inflammation or for burns. Let's take more of a look at it. It's really anti-inflammatory, so great for burns and excess heat.
Are you making a video?
And yeah, it's a plant that I'll harvest a lot of and let dry and have for their throughout the season. It's a plant that I really feel like it wants to have a relationship, especially when it's growing in our own garden. It wants to have a relationship with us, and the more we harvest the blossoms, the more they grow back. So it's really powerful it's much like calendula in that sense. If we let it all go to seed and aren't really tending to it, it will play out its life cycle, but the more we harvest it and interact with it, the more it will be in giving nourishing relationship with us. So I hope you enjoy your chamomile. This is the Matricaria discoidea, and it grows all over California, all throughout, often through well-drained soils, but I find it in really compressed soils too. It's known to be a kind of a midwife to other plants and to really help other plants thrive in ecosystems. By both bringing a lot of moisture to the ecosystem, it's much like mallow in that sense, in that it helps break up soils that are really compact and allow more water in, which is ecologically similar to what it does in the body. So often plants do in the greater ecosystem what they do in our own bodies. So yeah, chamomile's a great ally to this ecosystem. And I noticed that here in this beautifully replanted native plant zone, it's really only growing in the part that people are walking on. Traditionally, it's used as a strewing herb, which means that it's as you can see, it's wildly abundant. The blossoms are taken and tossed on the herbs. It was used as a strewing. This term strewing herb comes from the Renaissance times, when people would take the flowers or leaves of antimicrobial plants and anti-parasitic, just plants that deterred insects and other animals, and they would toss them on the floors of their homes and of their castles, and they would keep the air really fresh, and they would keep the environment healthy for the people that were occupying that space. So happy Taurus season. I am sitting here in Davis in the wildlife zone, and it's clearly springtime because we have a wild swarm right up in the willow, and it's just magical, beautiful springtime pleasure. Enjoy.